Time to Taste of Dallas 2022 for our Season 5 of Trey's Showdown Live. So stay tuned. Season 5 of Chefs, Deliciousness, and Cocktails starts right now. Woo! Hey everybody, we are here today with MasterChef Mike Newton. I like to call him MasterChef because he's done not one, but 2 stints on MasterChef. Mike, I'm glad to have you here today, brother.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Man, thanks for coming.
It's good seeing you.
So, you know, you've been on my show a couple times, but you were on my show before, and then now it's after, not once, but twice after.
Right.
So how'd you like the second time on MasterChef?
It was an experience after being there once, and then going back your second time, a little anticipation, but we went right in the middle of COVID. So, with that COVID scare in LA, it was just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
It was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
Now they sequester you, right?
They sequester you, yeah. And this time we spent 4 days in our room. And you're talking about getting me, I live on a ranch and they keep me in a little room for 4 days.
Yeah.
It was just nuts.
Crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what's the process for being on MasterChef? I know you have a restaurant here, but what was the process of being on MasterChef? Did they call you or you call them? Well,
the first time they called me because I tried out for another show on NBC. Didn't get there, but the casting director remembered and thought it'd be great to do it. So they called me, and actually, I was in the hospital right after my first stroke. And so they called me and said, listen, I just had a stroke. And Carrie Mott goes, that's okay, it's in April, we'll see you in April. So I went, and then they wanted me to try out, and I went to Dallas to the Marriott. That day I showed up, I think they did 5,000 people that weekend to try out.
Oh, wow.
And we had just got into the ranch, and so I came over there, it was a rainy, nasty day. I didn't change clothes, I had a hoodie on, boots and jeans, and walked in there, I go, what am I doing? Why am I even bothering?
Yeah.
They gobbled me up, and the next thing you know, I'm in a room with 50 people, and they liked me and went through the process, which it's pretty extensive, They make you do background checks, make you do a health tech, a urine test, all that stuff. It's the only time I passed 4 tests in my life.
You said 5,000 people. That's just that was just here.
That's just here in Dallas.
So how many people do they go through to get to a MasterChef competition?
I bet you they have to do well over, probably close to 1 million people, I bet, in all the cities and everything.
That is absolutely crazy.
It is.
The money they spend, the time just to get to that last level.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a $165 million show. And I don't have verification of it. I haven't seen the books, but that's what I heard. It's crazy.
So how was the second time different than the first time for you?
Well, with the anticipation and all that, and I think that, this time you didn't know the first time you didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So the second time you kind of had your expectations sitting there, but the talent on the second time was the best of the best. Aside from the people that won, you're going up people, and it was great because so many of these people I wanted to meet. I found my doppelganger in Lindsay Hay, and she's up in the Northeast, and she has a bakery, but we just were simpatico with one another, and you get to see all these. I got to go back to see Gabe and Danny from my show, and we kind of got our little bond going back there. And and what it is, you got a group of people that have a passion and a passion for food,
right?
And so it was really great to see. This time, I think if you get to watch the show, you'll see. Notice I have less time than the Roto-Rooter commercial, but it's but it's a great experience.
Less time than the Roto-Rooter commercial.
Yeah.
That's good. So let me ask you, so after you went to MasterChef the first time, but then you started your restaurant, in between the first time, second time, you started the restaurant.
Right.
And now you have the restaurant, Newton's.
I have Newton's Cellar.
Newton's Cellar.
Well, it was Newton's. It's Newton's Saddle Rack now.
Newton's Saddle Rack now, and then you have the bar to go with it.
Right. It's bar and the restaurant now,
Okay,
too.
bar and restaurant combined.
Right.
So tell us about that. That is in Stephenville.
It's in downtown Stephenville. We're right off the square. If you're familiar with Stephenville, we're 2 doors down from Greer's, next to Floor Shop.
Yes, sir.
We're on College, 216 West College. And, you enter through the bar, of course. You got to go through the watering hole.
Enter through the bar. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, you go through the bar. And I think for us, I don't know if we'd still be in business if we didn't have the bar. It took us a while. We didn't have a liquor license when we started. Right. And we're a private club. We're moving to a liquor license now. And so it's been an experience, especially starting in the middle of COVID. And at 50 years old, I probably am not the smartest SOB out there, but we did it. We have a passion, and it's been very good for us. That's been good for Stephenville.
Sure. And I'm going to tell you something. I've seen one of your, was it tomahawk fried pork chop?
No, well, we have the tomahawk chalk steak.
Tomahawk chalk steak.
But we also do a 3-inch. We do a two-bone pork chop. We chicken fry it, or we'll do it different ways. We always have a changing menu, but we always have the steak on there. We have the Wagyu tomahawk chop too. So, we've been fortunate. We have a lot of guys local. We use Red Marble Meat, Ricky Cagle and them out of Brock, Texas. We also use Thompson's out of Comanche in Dublin for our steak, as well as use a lot of local vendors, Veldhuizen cheese, and a lot of those. We're trying to locally source as much as we can.
That's really important nowadays. Locally, eating locally, sourcing locally, and of course a lot of chefs are following that, which is fantastic.
Right.
And I think COVID really helped that situation, because the ones who weren't doing that could not source it, and they source it locally.
And we've run into issues, with cream and products like that, and if we don't get it in, we don't stock it. Lots of times we don't have it. I think, well, we don't have to worry about baby formula, but aluminum pans. I was talking to boys at Hard 8, and they couldn't get aluminum pans for the barbecue and stuff. So you really have to be kind of conscious. If you can get it locally, on my way in around the corner on me on 281, there's a produce stand, and I always try to pick up his stuff and run my specials off what he has. Great cantaloupes and squash and all that fun stuff.
I even love seeing all the guys with the pickups and stuff just coming out of the back of their pickups. I think it's fantastic.
Trey, when we grew up, we'd go through Weatherford on our way to Possum Kingdom. My dad always stopped in there. We got fresh peaches. We always had something to get. And in the Dallas Farmers Market, I think they've turned it around a lot.
Yeah.
I heard they truck a lot of stuff in, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get it local and you can get it fresh, why not? I'm not taking anything away from the stores out there, but
a lot of farmers markets flourished when COVID came about. I mean, they just took off like a rocket when they could open back up, because a lot of people started going locally and didn't want to go to big outlets, big box stores.
Right. And we've been blessed. We got of course Restaurant Depot, Cisco, Benny Keith, and they're great purveyors of it. But quite honestly, I want to touch it, smell it, feel it before I bring it in. It's delivered to me. And then I have the point if I'm going to use it or reject it.
Trust factor.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. These people are out there trying to make a living too. Let's share the wealth a little bit. I think Benny Keith's doing okay.
They're doing fine. So ask me this: what was the hardest thing for you about starting your restaurant?
Fear.
The unknown. You just got to jump.
You got to go. You just got to pull the trigger. I've always been that way since I was 16 years old, 14 years old, but 16 years old I moved out on my own, and there was that fear. Like, hey, what if it doesn't work out? Well, you know what? If you don't throw it at, you'll never know if you're going to succeed. And that's kind of where we were. And we started out with gangbusters. We have a unique niche for us in Stephenville, what we do. And we're only at 40, well, the original restaurant was only 49 seats.
Sure.
And now we're up to about 80 something, but we still don't, we haven't
Cozy.
increased our, yeah.
Cozy.
We've increased the seats maybe by 10 is all. The bar top, of course, runs the length of it. And so we have a lot more people that prefer to sit in the saddle in the bar.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. For you, do you think you did better opening up your restaurant after you did MasterChef, or would it have been better if you did before MasterChef?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, the notoriety from MasterChef. Sure. MasterChef was a blessing.
Credibility. It gives you automatic credibility no matter what, right?
Right, it does. It gives you credibility, and also, when they pursued me, a bunch of the young Turks in Stephenville wanted something that they couldn't have. They had a steakhouse that just didn't make it.
Yeah.
So they came to me twice. One for a restaurant used to be Fiddle Creek or something like that. Fiddlesticks, I call it.
Yeah.
And then it was just too big of a venue. I wanted something that French bistro type of feel, even though we're doing Texas style food. Ironically, I have a French chef in my kitchen, Tony Barr, who's getting ready to leave to go do a TV show. But Tony's brought that French influence, and people go, why that? Well, Texas was ruled by the French for a little while, but it's the juxtaposition of his food and my food, and doing some pop-ups and stuff that we've really enjoyed and we succeeded very well at.
But also too, if you bring guest chefs in like that, it changes your culinary experiences up in your restaurant all the time, and it just keeps people coming back for more and more experiences.
Yeah, it keeps it fresh. It really, really does. And so that's been nice. We just had Gabe from MasterChef with me. He just came down and did a pop-up. Tony and I did a pop-up, French Beaches, Texas, about 4 weeks ago. I think I got to make a sauce or something. That's about it. But and bringing Tony into town, he's just an incredible chef. French trained from France. Started at 14. Their program's not like ours. you don't run off to CIA for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, he started at 14, then you work your way up, and then, you know, 20 years old.
It's a long process, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is, and it's a different process. And again, it's that juxtaposition of food, or the dichotomy of food that we have, you know, that really does very, very well for us.
A lot of those French recipes are very time-consuming, very intricate, and it's just, you have to learn.
Right, we were just talking about doing demi-glace the other day.
Yeah.
You know, you can go down the store and buy it, which, you know, for a chef, a lot of times it's a lot easier, but, you know, it's a 48-hour process to do it. You know, cook it, Espanol, then you cook it, and then rehydrate and do it again.
Yeah.
I think we've taken some French influence, like we did a French sous vide sauce to do with our smoked chicken.
Right.
Our flair was, instead of just using regular onions in, we smoked the onions. So now we have a smoked sous vide sauce, and, you know, and it just gives a different flair, you know, and it kind of puts my little kick on it and his kick too, so.
So you know all the stuff I've been food blogging for the last decade.
Right.
Nothing gets more hits than chicken fried steak or chicken fried pork chops or pork chops. Do you think, and I thought for a second it was just Texas, but if I look at my numbers, it's everywhere. It's California, it's Florida, it's Iowa. So chicken fried steak and fried pork chops, stuff like that, just must ring true all over the United States, man, everywhere.
Well, I think it's a comfort food, you know, and at the Saddle Rack, we do a real chicken fried steak.
Yeah,
We're doing New York strip, for example. And someone said, why do you do it? Well, when we go to the ranch, my dad was at the ranch thing, my dad didn't bother with round steak at all, you know. If we did, we cooked it for days just to get it tender. So what we ended up doing, my dad would always take a strip or New York strip, or he'd even take a ribeye and slice them thin, or take the remnants of them, we'd fry them up. And people go, well, that's a real chicken fried steak, because a lot of what people aren't doing, I mean, that's just not what we do.
Yeah.
And ours isn't frozen and processed, I'll tell you that right now.
I know it's not, it's fresh.
It's fresh.
I think some people take that old round steak or whatever they want to use, that's not a very good piece of meat, beat the hell out of it and try to make it taste good with a little bit of gravy.
Right. Well, you know, we do a jalapeno cream gravy, and what we've done, you know, Jake and Dorothy's in Stevensville is known to have top 10, and they don't hold the candle, and I'm not just bragging, I'm speaking the fact. But, you know, I think people are also starting to watch what they eat, a little bit cleaner what they eat, you know.
Sure.
Hey, listen, I got guys that come in there, you know, that just, you know, that want to tell me how to make food. And I think that they realize we're still Stephenville, Texas.
Yeah.
Not that we're rudimentary, but we still have that meat and potato mentality a lot. And there's a lot of people that want to come in and have the steak, or, you know, we did mussels the other night, and, you know, we're doing a lot of that stuff. People do want that. I didn't know how well it do.
Just not all the time.
Just not all the time.
Yeah.
They want to come in. I mean, I have guys that come in, and that's what they want, that chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
And it's 12 ounces. So you imagine when we tenderize it, it's about this big.
Yeah. So what is your favorite thing that you do on the menu? Like, what gets you excited about your menu? Is there something that do you switch around, or is it the same thing all the time?
I like switching around. I mean, I'm known for my steak, obviously. When you get Gordon stick a steak in your face, both times say it's one of the best steaks he's ever had, without the adjectives he uses.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I enjoy that part of it, but to me it's some of the new things. It's like doing a smoked chicken, for example, and I got big smokers, and we do it on this little box smoker outside, and then we sous vide it, you know, and so we keep it moist. We're also brining it. We're doing a sweet tea brine on them, and it's just doing those little nuances that get people going.
That sous vide process is a miracle. Explain that to people. Explain that process.
You know, cooking sous vide is you're cooking at a constant temperature in water. So if you want something 125 degrees, it's not going to get above 125 degrees, and you keep it in there, and a lot of time it's going to be at 125. You know, I was kind of the old stalwart, you know, really getting into sous vide, and kind of Tony changed my mind. I've been doing some stuff. And people, you got to do this, you got to do it. Well, I did, but to me, it's still that old style of putting a steak on a grill, or a cast iron skillet, and getting it there. But the fact of the matter is, in our, you know, when you're cooking a 3-inch steak and you got people that want to get in and get out, we're not going to rush you at 7. Right? If you're in a rush, there's a place called McDonald's down the street. We'll roll up their drive-thru, and I will not apologize for that. And I think a big part of it is you can get it in, it saves you a little bit of time, get people going. You know, fish, it keeps it moist. You can't dry it out. You can actually, for some of the items that we do, you can actually keep the moisture in. You know, nothing worse than a dry piece of chicken, you know, or a steak that, you know. I mean, I'm a rare to mid-rare, sometimes, you know, medium type of guy. So you can get it to exactly where you want it to be, and with timing and that, get you a flavorful steak, piece of fish, or anything, and it beats the heck out of it.
You know what? What's the perfect meal? The perfect meal is a delicious meal with lots of flavor, good friends, good conversation, and a little bit of time. So if they're in a hurry, they shouldn't be eating. You know, they need to go somewhere else.
You know, I had a guy that get on and order me a cowboy ordered a well done steak, and in our restaurant, if you ever come and you order well done, it will show up on your ticket as why bother. And
Does it really?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Why bother?
Why bother?
Why bother? I mean, you know, he was getting mad. It was because we're paying Sear, and I was into it for 25 minutes, and which we tell you take about 20, 30 minutes to get your meal out. And he was mad as hell, and I said, listen, I'll get it out. And I said, well, he goes, I don't care, get it. Well, we put it in the old side oven for him, and, you know, he got it out for him, and, you know, he was happy as a clam, but it's just, it's a mentality thing for me. For a while, we didn't serve well done.
What makes people want to eat something well done? What makes them want to do that?
It's a mentality of my mom and dad grew up when you couldn't eat fish raw, then there's sushi.
Yeah.
You know, they grew up in that thing, they had to cook it to death, you know. My mom British, you know, and my father Texan, you know, and they grew up in that era where refrigeration, you know, so you cooked it. I think you go down to Mexico a lot in those areas, they're starting now to come around to that. But I mean, that mentality down there as well is, you know, that, hey, we got to cook it, you know.
Cook everything out of it.
Yeah, cook it, you know, cook the life out of it. Like I said, you only have to kill that cow once. You don't have to kill it twice. So
you don't have to cook the life out of it.
You know, I still like mine flopping a little bit when it gets on the plate.
So when you are on, I'm going to switch back to MasterChef for a minute, because this kind of intrigued me when you first went on and I talked to you, because I don't think people know this. They sequester you. You have to go to the same spot every night, same room every night.
Same room.
Right? You can't do anything, correct?
You don't even get a key to your room.
You don't even get a key to your room?
No. And it's the reason. It's a $165 million show, and you have people out there trying to, you know, ruin it, you know, trying to beat it. And matter of fact, on this last one, they kind of had something slip a little bit on it, you know. But, I mean, it just happens.
So they watch it really tightly.
Yeah,
How do you get in your damn room if you don't have a key?
They have guys that go let you in your room. I'm going to tell you something,
Oh.
though. I'm 58 years old. First time I did was 53 years old. I found a way to get a key. I went down there with my Marriott card and said, hey, man, can I get the points in my room? Oh, I forgot my key. And I ended up with one. So I beat the system. They're probably not happy with me. But, you know, I'm 58 years old. I'm older than most. I'm older than all of them, you know, all the judges and all that. And so I figured you can't trust a grandfather. You can't trust anyone, you know. And so, and I'm not the kid that's going to sneak out and go get polluted.
No, you're looking for it. So I have two questions for you about Gordon Ramsay, because I love the guy. He's good TV.
Oh, incredible.
What is the best thing about Gordon Ramsay that you like, and what is the worst thing about Gordon? Or not the worst thing, but the thing you disliked about him?
Well, I think the best thing about Gordon, he's got 15 or 16 Michelin stars.
Yeah,
you know,
hard
so
to beat that.
You know, he's proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And probably the hardest thing is.
So what that means is, though, when he says something, it's not BS. It's the truth.
Right. You know, and you know, you got Joe Bastianich and Aaron Sanchez, who's not slouches within the run.
No.
And so, you know, being there, but I think probably the toughest time is not really be able to get to pick his mind because he's on the go. And I would say that. People say, you know, if he ever yelled at me, you know, I'd take the starch right out of him. I won't tell you can't, buddy. That guy is 6'2", 6'3". He's stout, too. He's a triathlete. I always like when people say that to him. I say, well, step on up there, man. Why don't you just do it? You know? Because I tell you, he's an intimidating man. There's some pictures in our website where you actually see he's kind of bent over, has his hands on his knees looking at me, and he's eye to eye.
Yeah.
And that's pretty intimidating. You know, a guy that has 13, started in the old French style system, you know, working up through the great kitchens of France, and then going out and doing it on his own.
He knows his shit.
He does.
Period.
No, and people say, well, when he made eggs, they were runny. You know, I go like, they weren't runny, they're moist. Why wouldn't he? What? You're the same guy that makes an omelet that looks like a burnt taco.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody wants to criticize perfection.
You know, and I hear it all the time myself. You know, I tell people all the time. They come in and want to tell me how to. You know, if you do this, had a jackass last week come in and tell me, how would you put the spice in your chicken fried steak, and I would drizzle. I go, well, go open your own damn restaurant. I'll come over there. You know, let me come to your house and critique you. You don't want that. And so we've got that going on with these, you know, so you always got that person. But, you know, most people are very, very, very happy with what I do. And it's like going, I've eaten at Gordon's restaurants. Yeah. And
I've eaten four of his, and every meal's been absolute perfection.
And the presentation, from the presentation to the service, it's a complete meal.
Man, I even ate at his little fast food fish and chip place.
Oh, yeah.
And have you eaten at that one?
No, I want to go back to do it.
Let me tell you something. It was I went back 3 times in a week.
It was at the Venetian. We were staying at the Venetian, and every time we went, and I guess I'm that grumpy old man. I'm not waiting in a line, you know.
I just went early because he keeps a line all day long out there.
And it speaks fine. We ate at Hell's Kitchen at Caesar's Palace. Ironically, that's where I got sent home. And, yeah, like I said, it's a stone throw, and all caviar almost went over the edge of it, and it could have hit them. But, you know, I think when you look at the type of food that's so much, you know, Vegas is the food center.
Sure.
Of it. I don't care which state. LA's an incredible town.
Right.
Great food. New York, same thing.
Guaranteed.
You just can't put your thumb on the pulse like you can in Vegas.
Nope. And you know now we do everything. We do Miami, we do LA, we do Vegas. Everywhere I go, for me, the biggest variety, the most creative, the biggest presentations is in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
And the reason why is because those hotels and those people have got lots of money, and they don't have to make money out of that restaurant.
Right.
They spend pump a lot of money in there for concepts and to get people to come and for over-the-top dishes, and they don't have to make a profit with it. If you're a normal guy in Denmark, Iowa, or you know BFM somewhere, you can't do that.
Well, you know, and think about this. You get to have them. It's the epicenter because you're bringing guys out of LA, New York, Seattle, Houston. You know, I mean, Emerald. You know, New Orleans. You got these guys opening restaurants, and people say it's watered down. I say horse shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just say that no, that's not true because I went to Rouse, for example. You know, when we were there, and I thought it was every bit of what I expected. You know, there's a noodle bar in the Venetian that a friend of mine. And we go, I mean, we eat there 3 or 4 times. It's just,
that
and
good.
The food's good. You know, we ate at Bouchon, in Venetian, Bouchon, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. I've had his steak restaurant there. It's delicious.
Yeah.
In Vegas, yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, if you want to go somewhere and go eat all over the world, go to Vegas.
All right, so you are doing the taste tour here.
I am.
And this is what you got in the taste tour, correct?
I do.
So what is this?
Well, we got start off, we got a little smoked pork belly, and we've got it served on a creamy, spicy, cheesy grits.
Smoked pork belly.
Smoked pork belly.
Is this grits? Is this your grits?
That's my grits.
What's that sauce? My gosh, that's good.
That sauce is a sweet and tangy barbecue sauce.
And
you got a little bread pudding here, whiskey, which I'm known for, no raisins, with a whiskey cream sauce. I actually...
oh my gosh, that is savory, it's sweet, it's got a lot of
step back
flavor.
and lick your eyebrows.
Oh my gosh, bro. Man, Mike.
This is an adult version of SpaghettiOs.
Adult version of SpaghettiOs.
We're using a Wagyu meatball. We're doing it with annellini pasta that we get here at Jimmy's in Dallas. We also do it with a little sweet, a little spicy pepper sauce. So we got a little spice to it. So it's not just those, look at that annellini pasta. Takes you right back, doesn't it?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that pork belly came from Peterson's. It came from Peterson's, who's also part of the Bacon Bash, which I'll be a judge this year in. Coming up in October. It's one of my favorite things to go judge. I mean, where else I call it the cholesterol festival.
The Bacon Festival, that is in?
Not Bluffdale, excuse me. Dang it. That's what happens after you have a stroke.
That's okay.
I know the bar.
Hey,
the bar's a horny toad.
You had a stroke?
I've had 2 strokes. I had one right before I won MasterChef, and then I had one 3 years ago in May. Yeah. So
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've got some paralysis in the face. I got this, and then, of course, most people don't realize I battle MS too. So I'm living with MS. I'm not dying from it.
What caused a stroke?
As a kid, I mean, growing up, it's somewhere in my family had a gene. But the biggest thing for me was I have polycythemia, which is thickening of blood, and also I have cerebral malformations. Basically, my cerebral arteries and veins don't have spandex. So I had started using testosterone in my 50s to get a little energy, and that probably was the precipitate. And the second time, I went from being here in Dallas-Fort Worth all the way up to the mountains of California in 48 hours. And they care flighted me out of Lake Davis and got me into Reno, Nevada in the golden hours. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you a lot for coming and seeing me today. All your accomplishments, I love following everything you do. I love your accomplishments. You're also a rancher. I mean, you just do all kinds of stuff. I love seeing your ranching pictures.
Thank you.
But most importantly is you're kind of for a young chef,
I think they're throwing stuff at us.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. For a young chef, you're an inspiration to people. You know, you've been on MasterChef twice. You have a restaurant. You have a bar. You're also in the real estate business.
Right.
I mean, you've done pretty much everything.
Yeah, and we're getting close. I set my retirement date this January, so I know We're about 3 years out from May 3rd of 2025, and May 3rd is a symbolic date for me. So
if somebody wants to be a chef, what would you say, before we get out of here, what would you say is the most important thing or asset for them to learn or kind of capture for themselves to be a chef?
Well, 3 things I think it is, and the first is having the passion for cooking and food. I got the body built for food.
Right.
Secondly is having the ability to listen and watch and research. We grew up in a site, when I was a kid and you were a kid, we had the Galpin Gourmet, Justin Wilson, we had PBS, or we went and got a library card.
Guaranteed.
Right, we had to get a library card and get a cookbook where we hung out on our grandmother's, aunts, uncles, mother's coattails. And now you have so much vast knowledge. And probably the third thing is, be willing to look at we live in such an information society now. Challenge yourself. Go out and try different foods. If you don't like it, I had a chef working for me that didn't like anything. And I go like, but they love to cook. And so there's that passion is the biggest thing, being able to listen and comprehend, and also be willing to learn all the things. I'm still learning today, and that's what I love. I tell you, running a restaurant doesn't allow me to do as much cooking as I like. Yeah. I bet you John Tazar has the same issue, Stephen Piles, I know that. All these guys that have these restaurants don't get to really do what they really want to do, and that's cook. Because for me, I think the best experiences in our lives have been around a dining room table and someone making that for you. And when you make that meal that makes people happy, there's no greater compliment in the world.
Speaking of that, John Teaser got his first Michelin star this week.
No, I did not know that.
He got a Tuesday night. They just opened up Florida. He got a first Michelin star in Florida.
Wow, congratulations, John. He's around the corner from us over here.
Yeah,
I've never met him.
I've never. Say hi to him,
I will. I think it'd be great to meet
Mike,
him.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Welcome to the River Ranch Stockyards Event Center in Fort Worth, Texas. Events, weddings, corporate events, parties, you name it, River Ranch Stockyards can do it all. Check them out, riverranchstockyards.com. A proud partner of Trey's Chowdown and Trey's Chowdown Live. Hope to see you at the table soon. Adios. Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, author and publisher of Trey'sChowdown.com. I have 5 decades of food experience, and I love sharing my findings with you at Trey'sChowdown.com. I'm passionate about locating the very best food, drink, and chef experiences in the DFW area. I believe food is an exploration of the palate. Try something new, you just might like it. Let's hook up and be friends at Trey'sChowdown.com, any social media platform, or just Google me.